Mao. 2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Welcome up, Chris Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined by Matt Moreno, and we have got an injury update. Kevin Pillar, recently injured, moved to the injured list. Matt, it appears that his season is done. What can you tell us about the latest on Kevin Pillar and sort of his future this season for the Dodgers?
Yeah, so Pillar underwent, surgery on Tuesday for obviously his fractured left shoulder that he suffered last week against the Pirates. And when he first had the injury the next day, Dave Roberts said he wasn't exactly sure what Pillar was going to decide in terms of surgery or not. Roberts was asked, does even just the fracture alone, does that rule Pillar out for, coming back in 2022? He said, I don't want to say one way or the other because, he's a competitor and I respect, his desire and ability to sort of want to come back. But once Roberts kind of confirmed that Pillar was having surgery, his quote was, for all intents and purposes, it does end his season. Pillar posted on social media saying, he doesn't know a timeline yet, but he misses competing and he wants to be back. And, all of that's certainly understandable. But I think a best case scenario, he's back and maybe plays the final 2 weeks with OKC, perhaps. I definitely wouldn't count on him being back at the major league level with the Dodgers this year.
Yeah, and it's too bad on a number of levels. On a personal level, he had worked his way back to the major league roster, had only, I think, played in 4 games, 13 at-bats. Those 13 at-bats did not go the way that he wanted them to. I believe it was 1 hit in that 13 at-bat stretch. And for a guy that was absolutely smashing it at AAA, he talked about how the Dodgers had brought him in, how he had worked on a little bit of tweaking some of his swing mechanics and whatnot. He had an OPS over 1,000 at AAA. And so for Pillar to be able to factor that in and be playing at such a high level and then to get injured is a bummer. And I'll add the fact that the Dodgers are now at a stretch where Max Muncy is on a rehab assignment. Edwin Rios is out for a few months. It felt like there was a real opportunity for him to make an impact. Zach McKinstry was kind of the first guy called up. Kevin Pillar was right behind him. Eddie Alvarez behind him. And so it's more opportunities for Eddie Alvarez now with Pillar out. But I feel for Pillar as a person, and honestly, I think he was going to be able to help the Dodgers. Chris Taylor could move to the infield a little bit more and that kind of thing. So with Pillar out, I've mentioned some of the names, McKinstry, Eddie Alvarez. Who does this sort of open up a door for in your mind? Is a guy like Jake Lamb? Is it Michael Busch? Who would you say maybe stands to benefit the most from the unfortunate circumstances for Pillar?
Yeah, so I think obviously, McKinstry and Alvarez have to be the first who come to mind just because they're up with the team right now. So I think the Dodgers will give them sort of every opportunity to kind of get their legs under them, get settled, and maybe make semi-regular starts on some sort of rotation. Obviously, there's the DH now, and that's something like you just said with Muncy and Rios both gone. There's another opportunity for one of the two potentially. If they struggle, though, it wouldn't surprise me if, it's not very long until we see Jake Lamb. I know there was a lot of discussion when the Dodgers set their opening day roster that Jake Lamb wasn't part of it. I think he's had, a little bit of a roller coaster season with OKC, similar, I think, to Kevin Pillar. And then they both sort of went on a little bit of a tear, if I remember correctly. Obviously, with Lamb, you would need to make, for a 40-man roster move as well. And so that could get a little tricky depending on how the Dodgers are able to sort of juggle that because, Pillar was on the 60-day IL. So my guess is he's probably staying there the rest of the year, like I just said. But you do have Blake Treinen who's going to need to come back. And so that could end up getting kind of dicey down the line.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Lamb's numbers, the OPS is dipped below 900, so it's 891, 12 home runs, very good. Those are good numbers. And again, this is a guy who has major league seasons of 29 home runs back in 2016, 30 home runs back in 2017 as a 25 and 26-year-old, of course, before injuries sort of derailed. He basically missed more than half of the 2018 season, half of the 2019 season, and then 2020, he's kind of bouncing between teams. 2021 was bouncing between teams as well. And so he's definitely an option. Michael Busch, another name that gets brought up a lot. He has not hit well at AAA since being called up to there. So whether I wouldn't necessarily expect him to be somebody they're eager to add to the 40-man roster, as you said, but we'll see. I mean, there are opportunities. Of course, Max Muncy has started his rehab assignment, so he could be back with the Dodgers in the near future, which would probably mean either McKinstry or Alvarez gets sent back down to the minor leagues. And so we'll see how that one plays out. Alvarez does have options. Obviously, McKinstry has options. Jake Lamb would not have options. So he would need to be added to the 40-man roster and basically would either need to be injured and moved to the 60-day IL or removed off of the 40-man if he were to be called up. So we'll see how the Dodgers decide to play that one. But again, the headline today is that Kevin Pillar pretty much officially, I guess nobody has officially said it, but as Dave Roberts said, for all intents and purposes, out for the season for the Dodgers. That's Matt Moreno. My name's Jeff Spiegel. As always, we appreciate you joining us. Subscribe, ring the notification bell here on YouTube. Subscribe, rate, review wherever you get your podcasts. Look for the Dodger Head podcast. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time.